They were, yeah.
All right, we're gonna call the meeting of the Wyomissing Zoning Hearing Board to order. We are here today, the application of 2232 State Hill Realty LLC, owner of the property located at 2232 State Hill Road, and identified as the tax parcel, which I won't read, where there is an existing car wash, and they're requesting a variance from section 606.b, paragraph 4, paragraph A, to allow signs to exceed 25 square feet each, and a variance of section 606.b4A to allow more than one sign to face the street. Zoning issues. Properties located in the C1 neighborhood commercial district. Car wash use is an existing non-conforming use in this district. Prior to commencement of the approved building renovations, the site contained a car wash building with a single wall-mounted sign. Dimensions unknown. Also on the lot is a 160-inch high and 130.5-inch wide freestanding sign perpendicular to State Hill Road, which has a message board where letters can be changed manually. The applicant is proposing to renovate the existing car wash building and add 4 wall-mounted signs, as well as replace the faces of the existing freestanding sign. The applicant plans to remove the message board and replace it with a solid sign of the same dimensions. Section 606.b4 regulates signs for non-conforming uses. Section 606.b4a states that no side of any sign shall exceed 25 square feet in area. The applicant proposes 4 wall-mounted signs, which include 3 78.87 square foot signs with the Lux logo and 152.34 square foot sign reading car wash. The applicant is requesting a variance from this section. Section 606.b.4b states that no more than one sign shall face any one street. The applicant proposes 3 wall-mounted signs that will face State Hill Road. The applicant is requesting a variance from this section as well. Okay, before we begin, I think we have done introductions. Everybody knows who's here at the table. The same 3 characters down here with our counsel, Mr. Becker. And he is going to tell us where we're going to start and where we're going to go today.
Yes, thank you very much. So I believe we went through the introduction before, as the chairman just mentioned. At the hearing, I believe that was last conducted on November 8th. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes.
So this is a continuation of that particular hearing. The hearing was requested, the continuance was requested by the applicant. So at this point in time, what we're going to do is go through and explain to you how this hearing will run today. And I do see for the record that there are some residents here of interest in this particular application. So the way this works is it's the applicant's burden of proof. They have to be able to establish that the requested relief, the reasons for that requested relief meet the standards that are necessary for the relief that they're requesting. They'll do that. They're represented by counsel today. I see Kelsey Frankowski is here on behalf of the applicant. So she'll have the opportunity to ask her client and or any other witnesses that she may have questions about the application. After she's done asking them questions, the board members will have the opportunity to ask questions, as will the residents. At that point in time, it's only questions. After we go through all of the questions, the board members, when Ms. Frankowski finishes all of her witnesses and testimony and exhibits, then what we will do is we will ask the residents if they would like to present evidence or have testimony. If the residents simply want to make a statement, we'll give you the opportunity to do that. If you're providing testimony, however, you'll be sworn in and subject to cross-examination by Ms. Frankowski and questions by the board. After all the testimony comes into the hearing, the zoning hearing board will go into an executive session to deliberate. Typically, the board will render an oral decision today. However, we have 45 days in which to render that decision. Does anybody have any questions about how the hearing will be run today? Looking around the room, I see there's no questions. So what we'll do now is I want to talk just for a moment about, I see that there's at least 4 residents, residents here this afternoon. The question is whether you're going to be requesting standing. What standing means is that you have the opportunity to present your own evidence, not just making statements. If you want to make a statement, we will give you the opportunity to do that. But if you want to present yourselves or have an attorney represent you, you can do that, and you can provide testimony and evidence and exhibits. And that way you also get a copy of the record, have the opportunity to appeal if you don't like the decision. Does anybody here request standing today, or are you just looking to make a statement? Okay, I see no one that's indicated they want standing today, so I'll assume that everybody would like to make a statement for the zoning hearing board to consider. You'll be given the opportunity to do that after all the testimony comes in. All right. At this point in time, I believe I've gone through all of the information that we need to proceed. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
You covered everything, Mr.
I believe I have.
So we are going to begin the hearing, and Kelsey, it's up to you. You should please have your witness sworn, and we should also swear in Michelle and Anderson.
Sure, I'm just gonna enter my appearance for the record, because I'm not sure that I did that last
Yeah,
time.
okay.
So Kelsey Frankowski for the applicant. Address is 4 Park Plaza, Suite 205, Wyomissing, PA, 19610. And now that I think about it, I think I did. I think I did do that last time, but
That was on the 4th hearing, Kelsey.
yeah, of the day. It's a long day.
Okay. You're gonna have your witness.
Go ahead.
State your name.
Well, we're going to have the witnesses all sworn.
Yeah, I am, I just
Okay,
wanted to
got
get
it.
this.
Shiv Shah,
Stop.
S-H-I-V as in Victor. Last name is S-H-A-H.
Thank you. And I'll swear all in together. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
I do.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Shaw, can you just state your name and address again for the record?
Yeah, my name is Shiv Shah. The business address is 2232 State Hill Road, Wyomissing, Pennsylvania, 19610.
And are you familiar with the applicant in this matter, 2232 State Hill Realty LLC?
Yes.
And how are you affiliated with that entity?
I'm the owner.
Do you have partners in that company?
Yes, I have one partner,
And what's his name?
Christopher Jane.
And are you familiar with the property located at 2232 State Hill Road?
Yes.
And does the applicant own that property pursuant to a deed that's been recorded in Berks County?
Yes.
And that deed was attached to the application that was submitted in this matter?
Yes.
Alright. Why did the applicant originally purchase the property in question?
We purchased this property because it was for sale last year. We spoke to the owners. It was a property situated in a town that didn't have much competition. The town needed a good quality car wash, so we bought it with the intention of renovating into an express model car wash.
And so did a car wash building already exist on the property at the time you purchased it?
Yes.
And was the applicant's plan at that time to stay within the same general footprint of that car wash building,
Yes.
but just to improve and update the building and the site?
Correct.
Alright, and is that what happened in this case?
Yes. Yeah.
And can you explain what you did to the site?
Yeah, so it was an existing car wash. They had not renovated or upgraded any of the equipment in 20 plus years. So our intention going into it was renovating it. So the last 4 months, starting August, we renovated the car wash into an express model, all within the zoning ordinance and within the building code as well.
Okay. And so what phase of construction are you currently in at this point?
We've completed construction and we received a final CO.
Okay. Did you have your grand opening recently?
Yes.
Alright. And if I can ask Michelle to please pull up applicant's exhibit 3. Alright, and this is a multi-page exhibit. Do you recognize these photographs?
Yes, I took them.
And are these photographs what the building and site looked like at the time you had your grand opening?
Yes, we had striping on the property, but this is the same building, correct?
And the depictions in this exhibit is without any signage whatsoever on the building that exists?
Correct.
Okay. In your opinion, how does this look?
It looks like a beautiful building. It just feels, and it looks very bland, and it looks like there's something missing. That's kind of what it looks like.
When you had your grand opening recently, did anyone from the public mention anything about the building and the lack of signage at the opening?
Yes, so this was actually a major concern that we had, and it was great that we had the grand opening, but nobody even knew that we were open. The only customers came in and said, oh, we just saw a bunch of cars and we saw balloons, so we figured you guys were open. But nobody knew that we were open because we didn't have any Lux branding on the building, didn't say car wash, and it just looked very plain and unfinished.
And that's pending the outcome of this hearing.
Yes.
As far as any other issues with the grand opening, were there any issues with the neighbors or the public with respect to the car wash itself?
No, we've had a few neighbors that came by, including from the dental office, and then I think to the right of us, there's a smaller office. They both came by, the managers came by, and they said they loved the building, they loved the operation, they were very excited that we're open, and they're gonna send everybody they know to us, so.
All right, let's talk about the signs that you are seeking permission to add to this building. Michelle, if you could please pull up Exhibit A1, which is the rendering. Do you recognize this document, this rendering?
Yes,
All right, is this what you created to show what the site would look like in the event that your zoning relief is granted?
yes,
And this shows the signage that the applicant wants to install on each side of the building?
yes, so there's also one sign, if I think it's on the next page.
Down on the next page.
Yeah, so then that's also part of the sign package, 3 Lux signs and 1 car wash sign.
Okay, so the section A signs, are those the 78 square foot proposed signage?
Correct, the Lux signs are the 78 square foot signs.
And there are 3 of those, correct?
Correct,
And then the section B sign, is the one that says car wash.
correct.
Alright, and that sign is proposed to be 152 square feet approximately.
Yes, that's correct, but that's also because, you know, the way we spaced them kind of makes the sign 150 square feet. If we spaced them to be smaller, then it would be a smaller square footage. So it's mainly because of the spacing, not the letters being 150 square feet added together.
Right, and is the spacing between the lettering due to the fact that the length of the building is so long?
Yeah,
So it just makes it look better?
aesthetically pleasing way, yeah, it's really nice.
Based on, you're aware that the zoning ordinance for the township only allows, the borough only allows 25 square foot signs.
Yes, we're aware of that.
Did you create a rendering of how a 25 square foot sign might look on this building?
Yes, we did.
If you can pull up Exhibit A4. Alright, is that the rendering that you created?
Yeah, so this is the rendering that we created.
And what do you see as an issue with the signage being limited to 25 square foot on this building?
So the issue that we have is it's such a beautiful building. The zoning allows a beautiful building like this, of this size. We did not have to have any relief for this building, but the sign, or the zoning ordinance for signage only allows a 25 square foot sign, and it just looks out of place for a building of this size.
And you can see from the rendering that square footage of a sign wouldn't even cover kind of the garage facade. It would
Correct,
be smaller.
the length of the tunnel is not covered at all. You know, the right side of the building, some viewers can't even, or some drivers can't even see that sign. If you're driving from the Berkshire Mall towards the car wash, there's no visibility from that side at all, so.
And according to the zoning ordinance, you're only permitted to have one sign facing any one street.
Correct,
So the only street that this building faces is State Hill Road, right?
correct,
So pursuant to the zoning ordinance, this building could only have one sign facing State Hill Road that was 25 square feet in area.
correct.
And what kind of hardship do you think that would pose to your actual business plan?
Well, the hardship we already know because we did a grand opening, and even the last 2 days, today I just came straight from there. A lot of customers came in, they said, oh, we didn't even know you were open, the building looked unfinished. A lot of customers during the construction phase, they asked, you know, what are you guys gonna be? They didn't even know that we were gonna be a car wash. A lot of people asked, oh, you know, what are those things out front, right? So these are some of the hardships we're already having because of it being a new business at this location.
Do you think the limitation on the square footage area of the sign would also cause that hardship to continue? I mean, you're allowed to have a sign, it just can't be more than 25 square feet.
Exactly, yeah, I mean, yes, I do believe it would still create hardship because one, like, as I said earlier, you won't be able to see it when you're coming down from Berkshire Mall towards the car wash. You won't be able to see any signage, one. And two, this sign it's not very visible unless you're directly looking at the building. When you're passing by, it's not a very visible sign.
And based on the size of the building itself compared to the square footage
Exactly,
area of the
yes.
sign.
You would have to be looking for it.
And I believe you testified to this, but the size and dimension of the building that exists was permitted by the township's ordinances, but the ordinance only permits a sign that small on a building of this size.
Correct, yeah, we did not have to seek any relief for this building size.
So you didn't build a larger building that then was permitted and are now asking for a larger sign.
Correct.
Let's talk about lighting a little bit, because I know that's gonna be an issue. Are the signs, all of the signs, the three that are gonna be proposed to be 78 square feet and the one that's proposed to be 152 square feet, are those signs all going to be lit?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain how they're gonna be lit? Are they gonna be,
Yeah, so they're gonna be backlit channel letters, just like what you find at any kind of small business. So they would be lit, but they would not be bright to a point where you can't see it. These are not LED lights through onto the street. These have channel letters covering them, and it would be just as bright just as our neighbors have it on both sides. There's a Rite Aid down the street just like them. The building and the small businesses across the street, just like how they have it as well. So it's a sign that's very usual within this community and neighborhood that we already have.
so the lighting would be comparable to like the Rite Aid on State Hill Road?
The Rite
Sort of like
Aid, the
that.
Grove Dental Office,
And the timing of the lighting, what will the open hours of the car wash be, and what do you foresee the signs being lit for as far as time-wise?
yeah, so we open our operation at 7:30 a.m. and we close in the winters at 5 p.m., but in the summers we close at 6 p.m. We propose to have that sign lit when it's dark out. There's no reason to have it lit during the day, so we have it lit from when it's dark to 9, 10 p.m. is our goal, which that's something that, we are also flexible on.
So if the borough conditioned the lighting of any of the signs to be only to a certain point in time, and it wasn't what you testified to you wanting, you would be agreeable to that?
Yeah, we'd be open to having the signs lit up until a certain point of the day, so we're not disturbing our neighbors. We'd be open to even having, only some of the signs lit, so that way it's not too strong, or it's not too much to our neighbors. The goal is, we want to make this building look aesthetically pleasing without disturbing our neighbors, so we're open to those changes, or those conditions.
And this building is surrounded on either side by commercial buildings, correct?
On both sides, yes.
Okay, and I think you already testified, it's Grove Dental and what other building?
There's a smaller, I believe it's a doctor's office or a physical therapy office, but it's a smaller outfit than what we look like and what Grove Dental looks like.
All right, and in the rear of this property, there's a residential development, correct?
Correct.
And you're not proposing any signage on the back of the building facing that residential area?
There will be no signage facing our residential adjacent properties.
Even the sign that's proposed on the side of the building pursuant to Exhibit A1, that's not gonna be facing the residential area, correct?
Correct, and I want to add to that, our building, the way it's situated, it's tilted towards State Hill Road, so it slants from the corner of our property, back corner of our property, to the front corner of our property. So that sign on the side of our building will actually be more towards State Hill Road than even our neighbors' properties that have direct left to right signage.
And maybe, Michelle, if you could pull up Exhibit A2, just to kind of orient the board to what he just testified to. Are those the site plans for the property?
Correct, so.
And you can see how the building is diagonally tilted, it's not,
Exactly.
perpendicular.
So the signs that we're proposing, if you look at the top right where that square is, that black box, that's where the cars will be exiting from. The sign is proposed above that building piece, and that's facing State Hill Road. not even directly facing Grove Dental, so that's not even close to our residential adjacent properties. And the other 3 signs on the front of the building would be directly towards State Hill Road, not even facing anything towards the back of our property.
Alright. And
Lower left-hand corner is the entrance to the,
Lower left is the entrance, correct?
State Hill Road is to the north of this site plan, right?
Yes,
And so the residential area is to the south with the buffering being shown at the bottom?
correct. And we installed arborvitaes, according to the zoning ordinance, that are 5 feet plus tall. Does take time to grow, but they are 5 feet plus tall.
And then Grove Dental would be situated to the east of this lot, according to this site plan?
Correct.
And State Hill Road is the only road that you have ingress and egress out of?
Yes.
Do you believe that there are unique physical circumstances to this property that you did not create that creates an unnecessary hardship with respect to the signage provisions of the zoning ordinance?
Yes, because the way that the building is situated, it goes from the bottom left to the top right. And so when you're driving on one side from one way on State Hill Road, you can only see one side of the signage on the building. So that's why we're proposing signage on both sides, the northeast corner and just the north corner, or the front facing part of the building.
Are the variances that you're requesting necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property, in your opinion?
Yes,
And you're familiar with the general character of the surrounding neighborhood?
yes.
Do you believe that these signs would alter the character of the neighborhood at all?
No, not at all. Across the street is a large shopping center. There's plenty of signage. Our neighbor, Grove Dental, has signs that look much larger than the ones that we're proposing. I don't know the exact size, but they look larger than the ones that we're proposing. Rite Aid, 2 buildings down, also just as large as what we'd be proposing. So it fits within the character of the neighborhood.
And do you agree that the variances being requested would not impair the appropriate use or development of any adjacent property?
Yes,
Do you agree that the variances requested will not in any way be detrimental to the public welfare?
I agree.
And do you agree that the variances being requested are the minimum variances that will afford relief and represent the least modification of the zoning ordinance possible?
Yes.
I have nothing further at this point.
the application mentions, a sign that we haven't discussed. Does it not? A sign that's perpendicular to State Hill Road, is it some kind of a freestanding sign?
That is a freestanding sign that currently exists and has existed with the prior owner that they're refacing. So it would be, it's within the 25 square
So
foot.
why don't we let your client answer those questions,
Okay.
since he's under oath and he's providing testimony.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, we have a road sign that the previous owner may have installed 20, 30 years ago. We are currently refacing that. We have permits to reface that, and that is exactly what it looks like.
And Anderson, how does that enter into consideration with these other 4 signs?
Well, in terms of relief, it wouldn't need any additional relief because it's an existing sign and their improvement within the structure of the existing sign. So the only thing that it would be required for today is to take into consideration with approving the other additional signs.
Because it counts as,
An existing non-conforming freestanding sign.
that is it considered then one of the signs that faces the street and has to be considered that way?
That one would be considered running perpendicular to State Hill Road, so I would consider it not facing the street.
And so you can have a perpendicular sign in addition, under the ordinance based upon your determination.
Yes,
You can have an additional sign that's a perpendicular sign.
yes. No. Not perpendicular.
let me ask this question while, of the witness. What's the size of the perpendicular sign? Is this marked as an exhibit?
No.
Okay, so let's mark this as board exhibit number 1. And that's, we'll refer to this as the
Freestanding sign
freestanding
permit?
sign, okay?
Do I? Oh, no.
So to the applicant, what size is the square footage of that freestanding sign?
The square footage, I don't have the exact number offhand, but it's 130 inches wide by 160 inches tall. And that's what was existing, and we're just refacing that.
So you're not changing the size of that sign?
Correct.
The prior car wash utilized this sign?
Correct.
Did they have any other signs on the building?
They had one auto spa sign on the building, but with
What was
those,
the size of that sign?
I'm not exactly sure about the size of their sign, but the way their building was they had a piece of their building protruding onto State Hill Road, which is why that sign was fairly visible from the street. But that sign for the size of the building was also fairly small, in my opinion, but
You don't know the size of that particular sign?
I don't know.
I'm working on it. It's 130 inches? No. It's
130 inches wide by 160 inches tall.
That's 144 square feet. Right?
I think it says that on exhibit B1, 145.
Oh, yeah, 145 square feet, yeah.
If you look to the right of existing.
Top.
145 square.
Okay, then my math isn't wrong.
No,
Yeah.
that's good.
And what would that sign be permitted to be?
So this is for Anderson or Michelle. The freestanding sign, what is a freestanding sign size permitted in the zoning district?
So by right, if it were not non-conforming, 15 square feet, but the sign you're looking at 145 square feet was existing, non-conforming, they're just refacing, so they're not required to obtain any relief to reface.
Understand. So,
But if it were not there to begin with, 15 square feet.
okay, so they would be permitted in the freestanding 15 square feet.
15.
15. So this is pre-existing non-conforming, I understand that. Are you allowed to have a freestanding and street perpendicular signs on a building in this zoning district?
Normally, no, without relief, but again, pre-existing non-conforming because the prior use had wall-mounted signage and a freestanding sign.
Okay, so do you folks, Michelle or Anderson, do you know the size of the wall-facing sign, or the wall-mounted sign that was on the auto spa?
No, so that's why Anderson was tying them to the 25 square feet because, visual looking at Google Maps, it was at least that size, but the applicant wasn't able to provide specific square footage either.
And how long was the auto spa at that location?
Decades?
As long as I've been around. Yeah, probably when I was born.
Yes. I think we did 89, so.
So they operated successfully with that signage for decades at this location?
Yes.
Okay. You got something?
I still have
I know, I was just joking with them while you were looking.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
So Mr. Shaw, you indicated that there's no signage that would be visible for people traveling on State Hill Road from the Berkshire Mall towards your car wash, is that correct?
Correct.
Does this sign that we're looking at on B1 provide that kind of visual effect for, so oncoming cars will be able to see that from State Hill Road as they're driving to the Berkshire Mall.
This sign is visible from State Hill Road, that is correct.
Do you have any evidence of the sizes of the signs that are located on the other properties that you referenced, such as the Rite Aid or Grove Dental?
I don't have evidence as to the exact size, but I do know, based off of what I saw at Grove Dental, I'm very familiar with their property. Our sign, Lux would not be larger than Grove Dental. Right now, it's.
So you're telling me that their signs are going to be, the Grove Dental, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signs at Grove Dental?
They have a road sign that's larger than this sign,
Larger than which sign?
than this
The
road
big
sign,
one.
than
And what size is their sign?
Their size is, I don't know the exact size, I know it is taller 100%.
The issue there, because that sign was approved by the board, is that the size of the sign is only the size of the sign that you're actually reading, that has letters on the box. But it's on a pylon that puts it up in the air, and if I remember correctly, the height of that pylon doesn't count unless it goes over a certain height. Am I doing my regs right here? So when you look at that sign, it's not the whole thing, it's what's that box at the top.
So just, you have no evidence that supports, you think that it's bigger, but you don't have any evidence to present today on the size of those other signs, is that correct?
That is correct.
You came in and your company came in and redid the building, the location of the building, is that correct?
Yes,
And you decided to make it this particular size,
that's correct.
okay?
But the
So
length
this
of,
building was not existing at the time that you took possession.
when we took possession, there was an existing car
I
wash.
understand that, but this building was not there, correct?
I guess I mean,
This building was not here when you took possession. This is a new building, correct?
this is not an entirely new building, no. We worked off the existing building.
But the facade is different and.
The facade is different,
And
correct?
larger than the prior building.
Correct.
So you created the situation where you need to have those signs, in your opinion, to provide the necessary advertisement for your use.
Ian, is this a yes or no question?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yes.
I don't have anything further.
We should,
We can see questions.
that's what I thought. I think we're at a point where if the residents have comment,
Questions first.
questions first?
Let them have questions, but they have to be questions.
They have to be questions. You have to ask a question, but you don't have to ask a question if you want to make a statement later.
Well, can I ask a question? Can we bring up one of the exhibits again? Because I want to just show you my concern. Is that-
No, you get the chance to do your
All right,
concerns.
fair enough.
This is just questions.
Okay.
And if you don't have questions, that's all right. Questions
Yeah,
of this witness. Not of us, of this witness.
no, this would be a question for Michelle.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll let you ask that question.
Yeah, I just wanna know if we know how many, businesses in that district have gotten relief from the 25 square foot ordinance.
So a lot of that is grandfather non-conforming, meaning it came over when the Hills was incorporated into the borough.
Oh, that's right, that was Wyomissing Hills. none
Yes,
of
so
this was
I can
Wyomissing.
tell you,
Okay.
Rite Aid, I know Grove tried. Those are the two that I can think off of in my 15 years here that have come to the zoning hearing board asking for some type of relief. Grove was related to a sign that could have a message that could change, because the majority of their signage was replacing existing signage from when there was a bank. Rite Aid was slightly, like, they were coming in right as I first started here, so I don't remember specifics, but I do know they came to the zoning hearing board to ask for some relief for the number of signs.
Okay, before we continue, I'm sorry, for the record, would you please give this stenographer your name and address?
Jennifer Reimer, Reimer, 19 Mary Mount Road, 19609.
Can you give me that, so it's Jennifer, spell the last name again?
Reimer.
And where is your property in location comparative to the applicant's?
It is not in my view, it is just in my neighborhood, I would say.
Thank you,
That's my only question, Chair.
thank you.
Any other question?
Kelsey, do you have any
Just a couple redraft. Mr. Shaw, so the road sign, the freestanding sign depicted on Board Exhibit 1, you've already gotten a permit for that, correct?
That's correct.
And it's already in existence?
That's correct.
There was some questioning about Auto Spa having been successful for so many years with the signage it had. Was one of the reasons Auto Spa sold to you was because it wasn't doing well?
I would say they were not able to upgrade any equipment. With the numbers they were generating and the business that they were generating, their equipment was 25 years old for a reason.
Well said, thank you.
All right, the freestanding sign depicted on B1, I know, you know, the testimony was you can see that sign traveling from the mall down State Hill Road. But do you know what the sight distance would be to be able to see that sign approaching it?
You would have to be right, just to add to that, you would have to be right in front of that sign. And just to add to that, we put a temporary sign there saying text Lux to 30400 to get a free car wash. Car goers slow down because they can't see that sign from far away.
And so the point of having the wall-mounted signs that are higher up on the building is so that motorists can see those signs from a longer sight distance.
That's correct.
Do you feel like that would make it safer for motorists as well?
Yes.
And I know that you testified enlarging the building was something that you wanted to do, that you created. But again, the enlargement was permitted under all of the township's ordinances and regulations without the need for any relief from this board or any other board, correct?
That's correct.
I've got nothing further.
Follow up on that, on your comments there, that, the reason that, now, let me phrase it differently, but potentially the reason the auto spa didn't need a lot of signs is because everybody knew they were there. The people that you are, servicing, 90% of them will be repeat customers?
From the auto spa, is that the question?
No. After I've gone to your place once,
Yes.
the chance, as your business builds over the next couple of months, the bulk of it will be people coming back, not new people, after you've been established.
So I'll speak to my partner sites. This is something we discussed. At his 3 sites, 60% are member cars, member revenue. 40% are new customers, or once every year, or they rarely come. Just 40% is non-recurring revenue. So does that answer your question?
It does partly, but if I were to take a survey of the 40% of the people that just aren't regular customers, they all live within a 5-mile, 10-mile radius of you.
Correct, the
So
demographic.
they drive past your place all the time. So after they've been there once, they know it's there.
After they've been there once, yes, they should know that we have a car wash here, yes.
So signage is important, but it's not life or death.
I believe signage is important for a new business.
Oh, I wouldn't take that away from you, but as your business has been developed, the importance of the signage, particularly for your kind of business, decreases because you're not looking for new customers all the time. Yes, you are, but so much of your business is repeat.
I want to add to that, so much of our business is repeat, but 5 years from now, that 60% of recurring revenue will be all different people, majority. So it's a constant of people joining and people falling off. So as new people come to an area, they join, and as people move away, they leave, or they try different businesses. So that's our business model.
Understood.
And then, are you saying then that the important sign for you is the car wash sign rather than the Lux sign on either of the two, or the 3 Lux signs you want to put up?
The most important sign is, yes, the car wash going across the building. The 2 other most important signs would be the one on the left side of the building as you're exiting, and the one to the left of the car wash, and to the left side of the building when you're looking at the building from the front. The Lux sign on the far right is more of an aesthetic.
So can we go back to the
Reason.
exhibit that shows the facade? So what exhibit is that, A3?
A1.
That one's A1? Okay, so on A1, which are the most important signs?
The sign on the left and the car wash in the middle. And the sign on the right, for the right tower, is more of an aesthetic look to balance out the look. And then the other sign that's very important is this one, as you're exiting the building on the northeast corner of our property.
Well, so now they're all important, so if you put them in order of priority, which signs are the most important to you?
The sign,
So
those
so
2
wait,
signs
hold on a
and the
second.
car
So let's
wash.
go back here, so the one that's, the number one of most importance is the Lux signs or the car wash sign?
Car wash is absolutely
Okay,
most
so,
important.
so number one most important one is the car wash.
Correct.
All right, so that was number one. Number 2, of the 3 Lux signs, which is the most important?
If you scroll to page 2, this one would be the most important.
So it's the one that's over top of the exit to the car wash?
Correct, facing State Hill Road.
Is Lux a name I should know, or is it
No.
branding, or?
Me and my partner created this ourselves. It's not a
Okay,
brand name.
okay. And are his other,
His others are branded something else. This is our first venture together, so
Gotcha.
we created a name for our first venture.
It's actually very nice.
it is, yeah. I
Thank
agree.
you.
Yeah.
So just to follow up on the order of the priority of signs. So I have 1 and 2. Number 3 would then be which of the 2 remaining Lux signs?
If you're facing the building from the front, where you see the car wash, the one on the left, and then the 4th one would be the one on the right.
Okay, so the one closest to State Hill, closest to the exit of your car
Correct.
wash is number 3, and then closest to the entrance is number 4.
Correct.
Okay, we're ready to move forward. At this time, residents.
Can I ask
Wait,
2 quick questions? I'm sorry. I had my hand up for a while. No? Yes? No?
Go ahead.
Do we know, I was looking on Google Maps and looked at Grove Dental, and indeed, they're,
Just ask your question, please.
yes. Do we know if Grove received variance or
That's a question for
relief?
the applicant.
Applicant or maybe?
No, not for us, it's for the applicant.
Do
The
you
applicant is
know
the
if
person
they
who provides the
received
testimony.
variance for their sign? Because it's huge.
I do not know.
Thank you. Does he know whether Grove received any zoning relief? That's all. It's questions for the applicant.
Okay, all right, okay, all right, good, okay. All right, then we're back to statements. Ladies
Wait,
first,
wait,
no?
before- Do you have any further evidence?
No, I was just gonna say, I have no follow-up questions for my client, I have no other exhibits or testimony to present, so at this point, I would move for the admission of exhibits A1 through 4 and rest.
Yes, we accept the
Exhibits.
exhibits, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now, who would like to say something? Ladies first?
I believe we have your name. This is again for the record, this is Jennifer.
Right.
Right.
My only concern is that what they're requesting altogether is 388 square feet, which is 15 times what's allotted. And then in addition to that, if you add on 145 that was already in place, now you're looking at over 20 times the allotted amount. I think the signage, 25 square feet is on the small side, especially for the increased height of the building, but I just don't want us to set a precedent for, over 500 square feet of signage in that district. That's all.
Good, thank you.
Should I go next?
So,
Please,
so
we need
for
your
your
name.
your name and your address, please.
Yes, it's Kristen, Kristen Gajewski, Gajeewski. And my address is 462 Warwick Drive. And zip is 19610. So I'm a very poor public speaker, but I am here. I don't know if I am allowed to say that some of my neighbors did want to come but were unable to due to the rescheduling of the hearing, but so I live on Warwick Drive right behind where this business is, and I am on the recreation board. I am a member of the Hills Social Committee. I'm involved in the community, and we do want to see businesses come in and thrive that we can partner with. So I do want to see this business do well, but as a neighbor, I know that this building was built on the existing footprint, but it's significantly larger. I was really surprised as it was being built, especially by the height. It's much larger than the businesses that are existing around it. The businesses all tend to blend together. They look maybe a little bit commercial, but they kind of fit the feel of the neighborhood, and this building really doesn't seem to do that. And then if you add, these significantly larger illuminated signs, it just adds to how much it stands out, and really it just doesn't mesh well. Comparing the signs and their size to those of the businesses around it, these are so much higher than those others, so maybe size is similar, but with the height, I think that impacts, where the light will fall and how it looks. And while there are commercial businesses on either side, there is a residential court, a cul-de-sac to the left of the car wash, and the whole front of the building is clearly visible to the homes on that circle. So there is, especially if the signs are this large and illuminated, I think that will really impact those residents particularly. We love our neighborhood, and it's nice being there and having all of these businesses that are so conveniently located, but it's also important to us that we maintain, you can be in our backyard and you don't necessarily know that the businesses are there. I worry that granting these will really set a precedent that if other new businesses come in, you know, they may follow suit, and it could really impact the feel and, you know, especially to the homes right up against them, I think it could really cause a negative impact. So we do wanna see the business do well, and we do wanna, you know, welcome you, but the signs, I really just, I hope that we can come up with some other solution.
Well, that wasn't so bad, you did pretty good.
Alright.
Ms. Bansky, is your father Tom?
Yes.
Tom is here.
All right, I guess I'm up. So I'm Thomas Dynasty, Kristen's husband, so I hope you have the last name. I live at 462 Road Drive, and I've lived in my property as a child and as an adult for 25 years, I think it is. I think we moved in '89, I moved out in 2009, moved back in 2015, so been there for a while. I'm very familiar with the auto spa, I worked there for a while, so know the property well. I think we kind of touched on my initial observations, you know, just that there was a car wash there for 30 years. There was very relatively limited signage on the property, and they ran, I mean, we can argue the merits of how successful they were, but they were there for 30 years and they survived. With that said, you know, I think they at least did an all right job. But I actually wanted to point out, my real concern was looking at the pictures, listening to the testimony. If we can pull up one of the exhibits, Exhibit A2. Actually, this is a good place to start too, because the way that the building is oriented, it's not perfectly parallel with State Hill Road, right? It's oriented on an
45
angle.
degrees.
So
Right, roughly 45 degrees.
referencing Exhibit A1 just a moment ago,
Yep.
now he's gonna go to A2. Okay.
Yeah, that's good, that's perfect. So this is what I was talking about. So State Hill Road cuts across the top from the north side, and the building is oriented in a roughly a 45-degree angle, right? One of the proposed signs is right there, right?
Mhm.
With me on the side. Road dental here, sign here. Well, my backyard, if there's signs here, is right there.
So, okay, just because we're on the record.
Yep.
And the stenographer's taking it down, just wanna make it clear, so you're referencing the Lux sign that would be over the exit,
That's correct, this left side right there.
okay, is in proximity to your property, which is located at the lower
Right
right-hand
here.
corner of Exhibit A2.
That's correct. So my concern, for your understanding, is there's ambient light that's gonna come off the side of the LED. That's gonna shine directly at a 45-degree angle hitting that corner of my house. So I think that's what I wanna show everybody based on the diagram, because it takes a little bit difficult to describe, but you can see the angle there orients right at my property.
Anything further, Mr. Paskey?
No, is there any other questions? I just,
Thank you very much.
That's great, thank you.
Yep.
Now, we have to do some, sorry. Just put your hand up, brother.
Just a couple
For
of.
the record?
Yes, Adrian Jadick, 48 Cardinal Road. I don't live in the area, but I also live in Wyomissing. I care about the area. From what I understand, there are two types of concerns. One is the size of the signage and also the perpendicular one. And to that, I think that it would have helped if the rendering would have shown the adjacent properties, kinds of, people could judge better how it fits. But I do think that there is a precedent set with what is, I looked again over Google, with Grove Dental. And I have no information, he has no information either, what the situation was there, but frankly, in your situation, Grove Dental, has a bigger angle than their angle.
but it's lower, so.
Wait,
Is it?
he
Anyway.
has his opportunity to speak.
I understand, but I think that, so the main point is there is a precedent, and I think I would ask the board to look at that. I am for, just like it was said, I am for them doing, having this. The other thing is the size and the type of the building. And here, I understand the concerns, and frankly, I had the same feeling when I first saw it built. But I understand from Michelle that that's our ordinance. So if that's our ordinance, it's not their fault. I don't think they should be punished because they just followed. I think we should change the ordinance. If we want a certain type of building or a certain height of building or a certain style of building, that should be in the ordinance, Borough ordinance. Yeah, this is a modern design without any doubt. The other ones are more classical design, but he hasn't done anything wrong. You know, he has followed, you know, all the codes.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Now, we have to do some legal housekeeping stuff.
Okay, Michelle and Anderson, you both have been sworn. So let's start with Michelle. In your capacity as the secretary for the zoning hearing, what are your duties and responsibilities?
I prepared a public notice that was posted on the subject property on December 4th of 2023 at approximately 10:45 p.m. That same notice was mailed out to all adjacent property owners located within at least 300 feet on December 1st of 2023 at approximately 10:45 a.m. and it was advertised in the Reading Eagle on December 5th and December 12th of 2023.
Do you have a copy of those documents with you today?
I do.
Mark those as B2, I believe that's B2, or exhibit number 2. In your capacity as the secretary for the zoning hearing board, do you have any further information based upon other contacts or testimony that's been presented today that you believe relevant to the zoning hearing board for its consideration?
I do not. I only asked if you would also like me to introduce the application and the deed that Kelsey referenced.
I do. What we'll do is we'll mark those as exhibit number 3. And that's the application. What else was included with that, Michelle?
The deed for the property.
Is there anything further, Michelle?
Not for me, no.
All right, Anderson, in your capacity as the zoning officer for the borough, what are your duties and responsibilities?
I have prepared the memo to the zoning hearing board dated December 1st of 2023.
And do you have a copy of that memorandum?
I do.
We'll mark that as board exhibit number 4. And what zone, is there anything further in addition to that particular exhibit?
No.
All right, what zoning ordinance was in effect at the time of this particular application?
The ordinance printed January of 2022.
All right, we'll mark that as B5. We're not going to move it into evidence, but we will mark it as an exhibit as B5. Do you have any further for us today, Anderson?
Nothing further.
Thank you.
Any objection to the board's exhibits, Kelsey?
No objection, no.
Okay. Then at this point, I think we can recess the meeting and see if we can come to a conclusion. So if all of you will excuse us, we'll do our best.
Thinking about the Christmas tree.
All right, call the meeting of the Wyomissing Zoning Hearing Board back to order. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the request of 2232 Skate Hill Road Realty LLC to variance section 606B4A and section 606B4A be granted and denied. Granted in terms of some signs and under certain conditions, which are going to be the terms of what is being granted and what is being denied, which will be further placed in the record by our solicitor.
All right, and so what will be granted will be as follows. We're going to grant the car wash sign that is facing State Hill Road. We're going to grant the Lux sign that will be constructed over the exit. The car wash sign will be permitted to be lit during the hours from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. in the evening. The Lux sign over the exit will not be lit at all. The freestanding sign is already grandfathered and that may be lit as well. All the other signs that we requested, the other 2 Lux signs, we believe exceed what is necessary for the site and that the evidence doesn't support that. And as a result, those will be denied. They'll also be subject to the following conditions, which are kind of are standard conditions, will be bound by all testimony that's been presented and exhibits that have been presented at the time of hearing, will comply with all of the requirements and regulations of the zoning ordinance and the borough ordinances, codes, rules, and regulations. Will use the property in accordance with all federal, state, and local laws. Will apply for and obtain all permits that are necessary for the construction, installation of the signs and the operation of the facilities. You may not otherwise alter or expand the property without any additional relief as may be necessary under this, according to this decision. The relief that's granted shall commence within 1 year of the date of the relief that's, the written decision. And I believe that's it.
Second to the motion?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We hope to see you guys as customers.
All right.
You will.
Well, if you hand out coupons.